be a problem?" she'd asked innocently behind his back. The sight of his discombobulated expression on his return to the kitchen had delighted Manelle, a discomfiture that in her eyes was worth a lot more than 50 miserable euros. Ever since that day, the note numbered U18190763573, Manelle had jotted down the number to check whether it was always the same one, had travelled to the four corners of Marcel Mauvinier's apartment. Tantalizing Manelle seemed to have become one of the old man's reasons for living. The CCTV cameras had appeared a little later, a whole network of miniature cameras carefully positioned so as to cover almost the entire 110 square meters. Manelle had counted 5. One in the kitchen, one in the bedroom, one covering the passage, one in the bathroom, and another in the living room. 5 cold black eyes that recorded her every movement. But the octogenarian had fallen into his own insidious trap by creating an idiotic addiction that consisted of trying to catch his home help stealing from him red-handed. One day she'd surprised the old ogre when he was watching the previous day's footage. The minute she had the chance, Manelle had blinded the miniature cyclops by moving an object so it obscured the view, or given a vigorous flick of the duster, re-angling the camera towards the floor or the ceiling. Not once had Manelle mentioned the nomadic banknote, something that continued to puzzle Mauvinier and irritate him greatly. Several times, the young woman had been tempted to turn the note over, or fold it in 4, just to signal to this crazy old man that she wasn't fooled by his little game. But in the end, she decided that to ignore the 50 euros completely was the best way of paying her tormentor back. So every day, the banknote lay waiting for her. On the rug in the living room, on top of the washing machine, on the fridge, wedged between 2 books, next to the telephone, in the shoe closet, on top of a pile of towels in the bathroom cupboard, in the fruit basket, slipped in among a pile of letters. Or, like today, under the ficus to be watered. The note was poking out from beneath the terracotta pot. As she was fetching the post from the letterbox downstairs, Manelle suddenly wondered anxiously how she would react if one day Marcel Mauvinier were to tire of this game and put the note back in his wallet once and for all. She had ended up growing fond of the 50-euro note that turned her round of chores into a treasure hunt. At 9:45 precisely, once her work was done, Manelle removed her overalls and signed the timesheet. From having seen him do so time and time again, she knew that at the same time, Marcel Mauvinier was fishing out the pocket watch he kept hidden in his waistcoat to check that she had scrupulously adhered to the allotted 48 minutes. Chapter 2. Every morning, as soon as he had eaten the 3 buttered crisp breads spread with blackberry jam, the only kind he liked, and taken a few sips of café au lait, Ambroise hastily put the bowl and breakfast things in the sink, wiped away the crumbs scattered over the wax cloth, then crept down the long corridor that ran the length of the apartment. He never failed to stop halfway by the first door and press his ear to the wooden panel that barely dampened Beth's snores. He loved listening to the deep glottal noises that emanated from the elderly woman. Today, from the depths of the room, the sound of a becalmed sea reached his ears, the waves washing over the shingle followed by the fizzing of the sand. Inhalation, exhalation, ebb and flow. Reassured, Ambroise continued down the corridor and slipped noiselessly into the bathroom adjacent to his room. The tired neon strip light always flickered twice before bathing the floor and walls in its cold light. A rectangle of plywood covered the ancient hip bath cluttering the space. Ambroise was always filled with the same sense of wonderment on seeing the makeshift draining board where the instruments lay. Spread out on the terry towel that had absorbed their moisture during the night, they gleamed brightly under the harsh lighting. He never tired of gazing at the sparkling reflections of the stainless steel surfaces. That moment suspended in time when he found himself alone with them in the tiny overheated room smelling of detergent gave him a particular thrill. He quietly ran through his checklist, his eyes darting from right to left over the terry towel. Scalpel, aneurysm hooks, bone separators, fixation forceps, gathering forceps, straight scissors, curved and double-curved needles, probes, nose clamp, hemostatic forceps, incision spreaders, flexible and rigid spatulas. He picked up the instrument he found the most beautiful of them all, the trocar. The 50-cent